In terms of Wrexham AFC, there's something of a before and after. The date in question is February 9th, 2021, the day Hollywood royalty came to town. Since then, the small town in North Wales has been put on the proverbial map, as Deadpool actor Ryan Reynolds and his partner in crime, fellow actor Rob McElhenney, have taken the reins at the club. So what exactly has happened in Wrexham? Stay with us to find out. First of all, let's take a look at the history of the club. As Wrexham's fan-owned majority accepted a bid from their current A-list owners back in 2021, there was a feeling around the community that the club had won the proverbial lottery. During Wrexham's long history, they're actually the third oldest club in the world. It's safe to say there have been more downs than ups, at least in England. A club with a strong community tradition, Wrexham actually hold the record for the most Welsh Cup wins in history, 23, despite the fact they play their league games in the English football pyramid. Their geographical location inside the Welsh borders means that they are eligible to play in the Welsh club, but they haven't won that particular competition since 1995. The team's biggest achievement by far came in the late 1970s, when they were crowned champions of the old third division, today's League One, and they actually did pretty well for a while in the equivalent of today's championship, spending 4 seasons in the second tier. The 80s were a largely turbulent period for the club from the racecourse, however, as back-to-back relegation saw them spend the majority of the decade in England's basement division. But they would come again in the 90s, spending 9 consecutive seasons in the second tier. Relegation would hit once again at the end of the 90s, and they would tumble out of the league pyramid altogether in 2008, where they've been ever since. But, as you've probably heard, that seems like it could be all about to change. Next up, we're talking Hollywood, so stay tuned. As we all know by now, Hollywood came to town back in February 2021 in the shape of Reynolds and McElhenney, in what was one of the most surreal takeovers in history. I mean, why? We still have so many questions. McElhenney has since explained some of his motivations for the acquisition, suggesting in the Welcome to Wrexham documentary that the town reminds him of his native Philadelphia, where people work for everything they have. He certainly has that right. For those of you who haven't been there, Wrexham is figuratively about as far away from Hollywood as you're ever likely to get. McElhenney, who found fame as the brash Mac in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, explains that he sees a lot of himself in the people of Wrexham. However, before the takeover came to fruition, McElhenney had a problem. He was a mere TV star and didn't have the necessary finances required to realise his dream of taking a club like Wrexham to the promised land of once again playing league football. Enter one Ryan Reynolds. The pair had never actually met in person before the Wrexham project, with their relationship growing purely through social media. But one look at their camaraderie these days tells us they are legitimate friends now. Unfortunately though, it wasn't just as simple as placing a bid and having it accepted. Once their idea was up and running, there was another serious hurdle left to scale. They had to be approved by a 75-25 margin by the fan-run board. A measure put in place by the fans after previous owners almost ran the club out of existence. Thankfully, after a nerve-wracking video chat with the club's voting committee, McElhenney and Reynolds were overwhelmingly approved to be the next stewards of Wrexham, as Rob put it. So, what has happened since their arrival? Like the sun breaking through the clouds after a storm, Rob and Ryan's takeover hasn't just rejuvenated the club, but the town and local community as a whole. One look at the league table right now will tell you all you need to know. Wrexham are locked in a fierce battle with Notts County for automatic promotion, the two currently dead level on points. Promotion from the National League sees the team who finish top go up automatically, with 2nd to 7th battling out in the playoffs. Wrexham do not want to go down this route again, as they were cruelly denied a spot in League 2 last season after finishing 2nd. Reynolds and McElhenney haven't been shy in putting their money where their mouths are either, and have invested heavily in the playing squad. That includes the signing of Football League machine Paul Mullin, who actually had a stand at Cambridge named after him after shattering their scoring record back in 2021. Other shrewd signings have rolled through the doors of Wrexham, but it is the appointment of Phil Parkinson in the dugout, who has a wealth of managerial experience in the leagues Wrexham are hoping to be playing in the next few seasons, which is arguably their best signing so far. Reynolds and McElhenney have, for the most part, done their best to limit the circus that will inevitably follow a pair of high-profile owners, and probably should be commended for how they have carried themselves so far. We're discussing the influence of social media next. Don't go anywhere. You want to hear a wild stat? Of course you do. Since Rob and Ryan have rocked up in North Wales, Wrexham's social media following across various platforms has increased by a whopping 921%. By anyone's metrics, those are simply incredible numbers. They clearly have a strategy to turn Wrexham into a social media juggernaut, and it appears to be working. One of the biggest factors in driving social media followers has been their Welcome to Wrexham documentary, which aired last summer. The series gave potential fans a candid look at the takeover and early days of the club's life under the pair, and social media interest in the team has increased exponentially. On February 9th, 2021, the day the takeover was confirmed, Wrexham had 41,000 Instagram followers. In the 12 months directly after, their following had more than doubled to 86,900. Not bad, right? Well, compare that with the following 12 months, which included the release of the documentary, Wrexham now have a whopping 522,000 followers. That's more than Premier League team Brentford. Interest in the small community in North Wales has exploded, and it's all down to some savvy marketing strategies. No doubt, all part of the Hollywood plan. Next up, we're talking merchandise. One of the most important strategies any football team can undertake is merchandising, a large part of which is shirt sales. For years, big Premier League clubs have been able to push their brand around the world, largely thanks to the exposure they have enjoyed thanks to the global brand of English football. A combination of worldwide interest in English football and fantastic marketing where the documentary was concerned has allowed Wrexham to sell a mammoth 24,000 shirts this season, far outselling anyone in their division. They've also accrued some truly A-list sponsors along the way too, with the likes of Expedia and TikTok now emblazoned across the old red of Wrexham AFC's home shirt. When Reynolds and McElhenney took over, the club was sponsored by a local trailer company called E4 Williams. The transition to TikTok then is truly remarkable, a huge brand whose key demographic is firmly entrenched in youth. This also says a lot about Wrexham's plan for the future. Trying to get young fans interested in the club means that they're planning not just years, but decades ahead, which could mean dedicated fans for years to come. Right now, they appear to have all their ducks in a row behind the scenes, which could only bode well for the future, which brings us nicely onto our next point. So what about interest in the actual football then? Well, there's plenty of that too. Under their new ownership, Wrexham have been a driving force behind live league game streaming, which has allowed them to acquire new fans in far-flung places. Fans who would have probably never heard of them before McElhenney and Reynolds showed up. And that increased revenue is beginning to pay dividends, as Wrexham appears to be on the verge of promotion. As Reynolds and McElhenney took over at the end of 2020 to the 2021 season, it was out with the old and in with the new where the management team was concerned, as well as more than 10 of the first team squad. And the players that they've brought in have already begun to repay the faith shown in them by Phil Parkinson, as Wrexham look to put the disappointment of last season's playoffs behind them. This season, they've been arguably the best side in the league. If it wasn't for Notts County, they would have already wrapped up the title weeks ago. The brand of football now on offer at the racecourse is by far and away the best in years, and the previously unfashionable club appear to be on the verge of making it back to the EFL for the first time in a very long time. Currently deadlocked at the top with Notts County, the Welshmen have 2 games in hand which, if they manage to win, would see them 6 points clear going down the stretch. This upturn in form over the last couple of seasons has also seen an increase in season ticket sales and attendances in general. Wrexham registered their highest league attendance in 15 years last Boxing Day, and are easily the best supported team in the league this year. A home attendance averaging of 9,954 is more than 2,000 better than their nearest rivals, Notts County. So it's safe to say the early days under McElhenney and Reynolds appear rosy. And finally, what does the future hold for Wrexham? Well, should they make it back to the promised land of the EFL this term, it would represent the first complete milestone under the guidance of Reynolds and McElhenney. However, one look at the Welcome to Wrexham documentary will tell you the Hollywood A-listers have grander plans than simply settling for League Two football. If they decide to really invest in the team in a bid to progress through the pyramid, then this could be the start of something truly special in North Wales. Right now, it appears to be the case of watch this space. As always, thanks for dropping by today, and remember to like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to give us your thoughts in the comments. Bye for now.